Hello, everyone, and welcome to the October 21st edition of the AAPI GOcast. I'm your host, Scott, and with us this week we have a really special guest, Adelina May from Instagram, gun influencer and workout enthusiast. Yeah, say hi.
Hi, everybody.
Cool. And then we've got Bobby and Malcolm returning this week.
Hey, what's up,
And
guys?
yeah, and Raphael, as always, with us. So
Can't get rid of me. I'm not going anywhere.
Yep, not going. Me either, right? So cool. Well, yeah, I guess has anybody been to the range this week? Any events you wanted to talk about? What have you been shooting?
I did a 4-day special purpose rifle training with Brian from Monarch Defense, and that was pretty intense. That was last week, and it was like I don't know, it was like 50% hiking, like 40% doing math, and 10% shooting. So I mean, it was probably went through like 300 rounds in 4 days. So not too much shooting, um, uh, but it was fun because it was the first time I was like able to use my rifle in an environment that was more made for. So I didn't have my knight's armament upper and my LMT lower, and it's just like sitting um, in my gun storage unit. I'm actually using it and doing things with it. It was fun. I mean, most of it was, um, I guess, hiking. It was.
Brian really loves his theory. I will give him that.
Yep. Well, cool. Yeah. Haven't really done much shooting myself this week, but Adelina, I understand you guys had an event. Like, girls just want to have guns.
We did, yes. I hosted an event this past weekend at the range, and I had 30 females come out, and I would say almost all of them are like either very, very beginner or just on the cusp of being like beginner to intermediate. Very much so a challenge to wrangle all those personalities and focuses in. But basically, I host an event, and my whole goal with even having a platform has always been to educate females. Not because I already do that with fitness. If you didn't know, I work in an all women's gym, so I only train girls. So it's kind of all over in my life. But it's mostly for females who have a significant other or a dad or whoever to take them to the range, and they can't do it by themselves unless that person was there. Because most of the time they hand the gun off when something goes wrong or it needs a reload or there's a malfunction, et cetera, et cetera. And my goal is to educate these females on how to handle that firearm in their home when no one else is home. Because chances are, if you have your firearm in your home and you need to use it, you need to know everything about it. So that's what the whole event was for. And I mean, I thought it was pretty cool, not to toot my own horn, but I also did not just like, let's go shoot guns and be manly and bra, but we did like a photo backdrop and raffles, and everything had pink fun balloons, and it was like super fun. It was like a women's event. So I know that you guys might not appeal to that, but on my end of the spectrum, I thought that I put on kind of an interesting event for the girls to come
We
to.
also kind of make it our business to appeal to the non-traditional gun owner. So I think we're right in the same camp there. I don't think anybody else has ever hosted a range day where the main course was bao buns. But that's what we did.
Yep. It's pretty fun. Yeah, we had that event July 31st at this point.
July,
so
yeah.
It's good time. Yep. Yeah.
It was my first event I've ever done. It definitely wasn't the first class I've ever taught, but it was the first like big event. I've had classes of like 3 or 4 people, but going from 3 to 4 people to 30 females was way different. But it was definitely a challenge. I know what we're going to do for the next one. For sure, I'm going to do a next one so you guys can all tell your females about it if they want to come out or wherever I'll do it. My whole goal with this is to be able to take it other places, not just in California, because I had a lot of girls who really wanted to come that follow me on Instagram but couldn't quite make the flight out for one day. I did have one girl drive from Chandler the morning of. The event started at 10. She got there at 10, went to the event, and then drove back to Chandler to Arizona. So that's like a 6 to 7 hour drive both ways, or one way. So she was very dedicated to be there, and I'm really thankful for people who really want to go.
You know, if you can deadlift more than my wife, I'm sure she'd take you up on.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So
I don't know, but
I don't know. She's got a better ratio than me, but overall lift not quite as. Yeah. So we just kind of have like a bunch of questions for you, but I kind of wanted to start with one that it's probably a pretty easy one, kind of a softball, but Sig, Glock, what's your pistol brand and why?
Okay, well, I have to be kind of partial to the firearm that I shoot in competition. I shoot a CZ Shadow 2 in competition, and I absolutely love it. But there's nothing to be said about a Glock, because I know a lot of people that will bash it, say things about it. But I did my first year and a half on a Combat Master, so it was a 34. And it slowly got improved as I went. It was pretty much stock for the first part of my entire shooting career. And I went from being unclassified to C-class immediately. And in my shooting sport, like, that's kind of crazy. I moved really fast. I did a year on that gun, and that's how it got me to where I am now. And then I kind of was just like, okay, we need to move up and do something else different. So we went to a bigger, heavier gun, and I'm always learning something. I'm always changing something. So I'm not partial to one or the other, but definitely a fan of CZ and definitely a fan of Glock as well.
You don't have to be partial to admit CZ's superiority. Put it this way, I've never known anybody who's switched back.
It is superior.
I've literally never met anybody who's switched away from CZ after switching to them. They do something special. Yeah. And that's not just the part of my ancestry from that part of the world talking. All right. So you run this range event for women who, might be exposed to guns, but not necessarily, super experienced, right? So does that relate to your personal experience? Were you in that position and that's why you started this? Or is this something that you saw a need for coming from a different background?
Personally, not me personally. I've always been very comfortable around guns. I mean, it for sure took a long time for me to ask the questions and finally learn all the little things about it to feel confident enough to explain it to somebody else. But I realized that my mom wouldn't be able to grab the firearms that she knows where they are in my parents' household and do that herself without being confused or asking questions. And I wanted her to be able to be at home and feel confident that if my dad wasn't home, that she could handle it herself. And I think that's a little intimidating if you have firearms in your home and you don't know anything about them, or not even that you don't know anything about them. Like, she wasn't scared. She wasn't intimidated, but she also knew that she couldn't do it. And so once that I did that with her personally, like one-on-one, she went home and was so confident, and she was like raving about it. And I was like, I could have done this with you at home. Like, we didn't have to go to a range. Like, I'm your daughter. But at the same time, she felt so confident and was telling my dad, like, I don't need you. I can do this myself. Like, she knew how to do it herself. And she just, like, it's so cool to see someone's confidence level grow so much and be able to handle that power themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a big part of why we exist too, honestly, because Asian American community not typically known for gun ownership, and a lot of hate crimes happening, especially in the Bay Area and the LA area, often against elderly people. So that's a big part of our mission, is we want to try to kind of demystify and get people more comfortable with safe handling of guns as well. So definitely some common stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, just a little anecdote. If you've ever been to a Southern California shooting match, I would say like 85% are all Asians. But that's the shooting world, because the shooting world is way, like, the competition world is way different. So
yeah,
you're all good. Like, I get it. It's not something that strikes me as like, oh, you have guns. Like,
yeah. No. Unfortunately, the pistol competitions don't really exist near me thanks to our laws. But hopefully, I can stay out of California for the near future. No offense.
No.
And we seem less restrictive than New York every time you talk about it, though.
It's a lot better there. I think we have it far worse.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to leave, it's not going to be for there. So
nice.
In your personal experience with guns versus teaching others, what's the biggest challenge you've noticed yourself have versus other people have? Like, what's the barrier to getting there with firearm proficiency?
Well, one, I think you have to want it. I think some girls, they want to go and they want to shoot because it looks cool. A lot of people want to do it just because it looks cool. And I don't think a lot of people realize that there's a lot of really, really technical parts into going. And like in my world, you have to shoot fast and you have to shoot accurately. And there's a lot of training and technicality that goes into that. And I'm so far from being at the top level at all. So far. But I get to learn something every day. And I've trained with some of, in my opinion, some of the best shooters in the world. World ranks, all the above. And I've still had people who weren't that and were still able to teach me something when I went to a local match or went to a match. And I've definitely been the one subject to. Sorry, that's my puppy.
Oh, yeah. But mine's barking in the other room, so don't feel bad. Yeah, if you listen really closely, you might hear my dog barking as well, but he's in the other room and very sad.
He's
No
12
worries.
weeks old, so there's a reason.
Oh, yeah, mine's like 5 months old at this point.
Oh, is that a GSD?
He is a Belgian Malinois and Dutch Shepard.
Yeah, my dog is staring soulfully at me from over there, but she's the Pyrenees. The only thing they know how to do is guilt you.
Yeah, I mean, mine's a pug, so you just look at their eyes and they look like they're sad all the time anyway.
No, but what I was going to say was I've definitely been subject to seeing people and being like, okay, you already are a lot for me to handle. Like, they try to boss you around. They try to tell you what they think they know. And then you realize, like, oh, maybe they do have something to tell me. Maybe I should start listening to them, because you never know who might have some intelligence that you've never heard before.
Yeah. One thing I've learned is that somebody's qualifications, so to speak, often have nothing to do with their actual level of proficiency. I went with a friend of mine who he has all his New York licenses to own everything, just to help him pick out a pistol. And we went into the range to test a couple, and he just had no idea what he was doing. And I was like, wait, you passed all the tests, right? Like, you're supposed to know this, but okay. This is
Something that was actually really shocking to me this past weekend was I had females out there that are family friends. They have CCWs in California, which is our concealed carry permit. And they're like, I don't know why I can't hit my target. And I was like, okay, well, you do have a red dot, so let me shoot it. So I shot it, and I was aiming the red dot at the target, and the gun, I noticed, like, just by looking at the gun, was pointed about 5 to 6 feet short of the target, with the red dot aiming at the target. And I was thinking, I was like, okay, you carry this firearm, and you are certified to carry this firearm. And if you were to take this in public, you could be hitting the kid in front of that person. You could be hitting these people. Like, I'm not saying anything about this person specifically, because honestly, it's not her fault. I know the story. But this isn't uncommon. This is very common for people to just pass the qualifications, and that's all that they do. They don't go to further training. They don't ever practice, and people don't realize that it's such a perishable skill that they just think they're cool, or even just owning a gun is going to get them somewhere. But what they don't realize is, like, it takes a lot of work to be proficient and fast and accurate, especially if you're going to plan on using that in a place where there's adrenaline added in. Just forget it. You're probably not going to hit your target.
Especially with a pistol. I mean, a rifle, pretty much anybody can pick up, and with some pointers, they can hit targets. But pistols, another story.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just side note, like, I took my mom to the range for the very first time, a couple of weeks ago, and she, like, picked it up and was willing to listen to me and all of that stuff, and it was great, and, just to see the confidence boost there. But, like, I'm super intimidated about taking my dad to the range for the first time, because, like, he was in the Navy in Nam, and he thinks he knows what he's doing, but he hasn't shot anything since the Vietnam War, and I'm just, like, afraid he's not going to listen to me, or, like, the range officers, and get us kicked out or something,
Yeah.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
Yeah, exactly.
So, as a woman in the gun world, things are opening up. The old NRA culture is kind of dying down, as evidenced by us and you and so many other cool people. But have you ever experienced any, discrimination, unpleasantness because of that?
I wouldn't say that I face discrimination, and I honestly have, like, thick skin if it comes like, oh, you shoot like a girl, whatever. Like, I don't really care. I know it's all jokes. Half the time, crap all the time. And those people I talk crap right back to them. But I do get, like, just minor things said. Like, I've recently, my last match, somebody, I was fully expecting it to come from them. And he was like, oh, dang, you're really good. And I was like, yeah, I actually can shoot. And they were like, honestly, full disclosure, I was not expecting it out of you. Just because a lot of people see, and it's not to say that it's just girls. I would say it's partially the social culture around it. There are a lot of girls that shoot because it looks cool and they wear less clothing most and they take a lot of photos during that. And that's what the guys expect most girls to do. That's how their level is. They're not there to shoot. They're there to post pictures on Instagram. So I'm not really hurt by that because what can you expect if that's the norm? But I definitely have had that before. Or people like, okay, you need to shoot it like this. Follow what I'm doing. And that kind of annoys me because I'm like, hey, I actually do know what I'm doing. I have had some experience doing this, but definitely not like discrimination, like you can't shoot with us or like, you can't come around with on our squad. Everybody's super friendly in the world in this industry that I'm in, but it is definitely different because at my matches, there's most of the time I've been to major matches with 400 or 500 people shooting and there's 10 girls. I've been to matches where there's 165 girls or men shooting and there's 2 girls. So I would say almost all the time there's less than 5% females at my matches.
Well, at least it's getting to 5%. It used to be nearly 0. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could be guilty of that. I mean, if I see somebody with a lot of makeup or a really nice fade at the range, I'm going to just watch and wait for them to miss because I feel like it's going to happen. But yeah, I should probably stop that.
Well, but at the same time,
usually it's me at the range with a lot of makeup. I don't know about you.
I mean, like I said, I've been subject to people. I'm like, okay, don't tell me what to do, okay? Because I don't, you're just annoying me at this point. And then they like kill the stage better than I could have ever done it. I'm like, okay, maybe I should not, like, I guess, judge them by how their actions are, the way that they talk, and that person ended up being one of my teammates now. So I guess I have to bite my tongue.
Well, cool. Well, one question I had for you there, besides shooting competitions and the events you host, are you into any like advocacy for the Second Amendment or, getting into those types of things?
Yeah, so I am a part. Oh, he's chewing on my fingers. I'm a part of USCCA, which is a concealed carry law organization, and they do put out a lot of booklets that they're for free. And you can go on there. I have all the links listed in my Instagram bio. But you can get all the links there. They are completely free. All you have to do is put your email in, and full disclosure, you can just unsubscribe afterwards if you don't want them anymore. But you do get the booklets, and it's like the top 6 things that you should know about using your firearm in your house if you like have to shoot it. What happens when you shoot it? The top 6 things to say when a police officer shows up to your house after an incident happens. Or what are the top laws that you should know but you probably don't know about CCWs in your state. Things like that don't really get told to you in classes and don't really get told to you. Like, they're just little tips. And then they also have memberships for actual insurance and things like that. And you can contact them and go through their whole website. So it's a great resource for that. I'm also a part of like Turning Point USA, which is more of like not political. They're technically non-biased at all. But they also are very 2A, very much so for shooting sports.
Yeah,
so,
Charlie Kirk's a fun guy.
He's a fun guy. He's very interesting to listen to.
Absolutely. No, you seem to fall into some of the crowd I hang out with. Okay. Yeah, we try to stay apolitical around here. We concentrate on policy.
Yeah.
But okay.
But that said, on the flip side, are there any anti-2 organizations that just, get under your skin and you like to troll?
Yeah.
Moms Demand Action is a big one for us, because it's in the name. With a name like Moms Demand Action, how can you not laugh at them?
Yeah.
So the reason I actually know about that organization, and you guys are really going to laugh at this one because this is a good one. I only know about the organization because of Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Nice.
And yeah, that's like the most I know about these organizations because half the time I try not to focus on getting too like annoyed with them because it gets under my skin because people are just so uneducated, and I think that they don't want to be educated on both sides. They just want to keep focusing on what they think is wrong, which I'm not saying what happens to people is not wrong or is wrong. I'm just saying that a lot of people don't want to see things on both sides, and that starts annoying me when people don't have an open mind to the policy that they're talking about, because they don't realize what actually goes into effect when something happens with those laws. So
the really nice thing about guns is that, unlike many of the other really, core things that we fight about in this country, say reproductive rights, everybody can go to the range and shoot a gun. Not everybody can go, so this is, something we can actually share, and I really like that, because there's literally no reason that anybody can't. Well, not no reason, but most people can go to the range and understand.
Right, and I think I know that there are certain people who have been parts of those organizations who end up going and trying to take a shooting class because they have a little bit more of an open mind. And they still walk away a little bit intimidated, but they feel a little bit more secure in their decision. They're like, okay, I kind of understand it from both sides now. I can kind of see it from both sides. I still am not my thing. I don't like it. Great. But at least they made the effort to learn a little bit. And that's when I'm like, okay, I can respect your decision because you also respect my opinion.
I do respect intellectual honesty over pretty much anything else.
Yeah.
All right, so
hey, we got Malcolm back.
Hey,
how's it going?
Malcolm.
Hey, that was a kind of a shit show. I had to go download the app on my phone and go from there. So
I think Malcolm's internet provider hates him.
I think so, and you're not destroying my eardrums now, so I think it's an improvement at least.
Oh, that's good.
Yep. Well, cool. Well, yeah. Before we get into news, any events or announcements that you'd like to share with our audience, Adelina? Where can we find you if people wanted to?
You can find me. Honestly, I should be on more platforms, but I'm really only on Instagram. My name is my name. I don't know if my name is displayed.
It'll be in the title. Don't worry.
My name.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes and everything.
But with a period in between. With nothing else. And then I'm also on YouTube. I have my YouTube linked in my Instagram bio as well, but I think all of my content barely gets put on Instagram. That's where I spend most of my time. That's kind of where my following is, so that's where I push my stuff. And any events coming up will always be announced on there. I am going to be doing another female event hopefully soon. I just don't know when, just because I kind of needed to get over the hump with this one and then get into some, holidays and things like that. But I will be planning that hopefully soon and possibly in another state. So I will announce that as soon as I get to know.
Very cool. Well, yeah, open invite if you ever want to attend any of our events there. We're doing another one on November 13th up here in San Jose. So if anyone wants to make it up north, just let us know.
Yeah. Or we could collab on something sometime. But that's spitballing way out there, but it could be pretty cool. I do have one more question that's also a segue. So 3D printed gun community, are you into that or no?
Honestly, I don't know enough about this to comment on it. I have been, people have reached out to me asking if I wanted to, be an ambassador for companies like that. And I just didn't really get into it because not that I don't want to touch controversial topics or, anything that could be, out there. But at the same time, I really just want to stick within what I know, and I don't really want to go very far from that just because what I can do is what I can do.
Makes sense to me. Well, that segues nicely into the news because the LAPD, in their infinite wisdom, they are horrified by ghost guns, which they've reported 400% increases in seizures of ghost guns over the last year. Now, there's only 10% of firearm homicides have been committed with ghost guns. But the fact that they are illegal in LA means that they've been seizing them, and they're calling this an epidemic.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see their definition of ghost gun because, technically, isn't it anything that's just unserialized? Yeah, so it's
it can be.
You could have a part of your gun that is unserialized, and does it count to the statistics?
So a ghost gun typically means something that's made from 80% or something that's 3D printed, or a pipe shotgun. If you have a gun that you remove the serial number on, that's not a ghost gun. That's generally stolen. That's a different category. Yeah.
Or if you're like me and accidentally sent yours to a bad person to do Cerakote and they shaved it off, and I had to have them manually put it back on, so it's legal now.
Did they take it off your slide?
Yeah, they shredded it off the slide, and it was like, what the fuck?
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
I had to have them manually engrave them on.
Scott, that's legal.
That's legal? Okay. So I was just being a FUD then.
Yeah, no. So that's just a manufacturing convenience, basically, to align parts and be able to sell in other countries where all parts have to be serialized. But no, in the U.S., that's not really a thing anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm willing to bet a good amount of those ghost guns that they've seized are just normal handguns. They just filed off.
Yeah, or polymer. Well, polymer 80s are huge in California. I mean, everyone wants one. I mean,
they're huge in California,
mm-hmm.
and honestly, I mean, I think that they're spending a lot of time on something that has been around for a long time, and for it just now to be an epidemic is a little ridiculous in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, people know how to make guns. People can get a lathe. People know how to do that. So it's not like, I mean, I'm not going to say the magazine. I'm not going to say who put it out there, but there has been magazines that literally explain how to do it, and they publish it. It's not a secret.
Oh, we'll put it out there.
Find it online.
Katowski's big on that. We love the reload.
Oh, well, there's also another one that put it out there. They also put out like how to do a pipe bomb and stuff too. So, anyways, but I just think for it now to be an epidemic, like I remember talking about those guns when I was like 5 and not knowing what it was about and asking questions, and then being like, oh, that sounds like it's probably not a good idea to get caught with that. And then we just didn't talk about it ever again.
Out of curiosity, have you ever shot a polymer 80?
I have not actually.
Oh, highly recommend. They have a more 1911 style grip angle. They're phenomenal. Much easier to shoot than a Glock. I love them. Yeah, no, it's like they're seriously ergonomically improved. Glock clones generally improve some things, in my opinion.
I just laugh at the slogan Glock perfection, and then the fact that every single person modifies their Glocks because they're really perfect, right?
I mean, it's more like Glock Honda Civic, because that's what everyone does to the Honda Civic, just mod the hell out of it.
That's what we relate it to in the gun industry.
Well, they can take the punishment like a Honda Civic. But in reality, we all like those weird European things. We know it.
We do.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of non-European things and the state of California, nice segue there, oral arguments were heard in FPC's lawsuit in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals against California, specifically LA and Ventura counties, due to their shelter-in-place orders that closed gun stores from around like March through May of 2020. It's kind of interesting. There we'll link to the arguments in the show notes, but yeah, it's kind of interesting to see that come full circle as somebody who like literally bought their gun the day that shelter-in-place orders got into effect, and so I had to wait like 50 days to actually get my first firearm because of this. So kind of vested interest, and it was kind of nice to see it come full circle and actually be heard in a court.
Yeah, Scott, you were directly affected. How did that affect you? Because I mean, like, I didn't buy any guns during that period, and New York didn't have big of a problem. But Adelina, like, did that throw a wrench in your works at all?
So actually, I worked in the gun store during that time, and
so yeah,
we did not get shut down. We had days where we could not sit down and we could not like do anything like other than fill out DOJ paperwork because we were just selling guns left and right. That was right when the huge boom of the firearm industry went. That's when everyone bought all their firearms, and now there's shortages of ammunition because everybody bought firearms. I think he said there was like 3 million new gun owners within like the first 2 months of that happening, or something.
We've added like 7 million this year, so I think that's probably about right. Yeah. Over half of them are women, by the way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've done a lot of like transactions during that time. So the only thing that did affect me was like we did have a lot of DOJ delays because of how infiltrated the system was. Mm-hmm. So we have been, or like we had a lot of people that had to wait the full 30 days. In California, you have to wait 10 days to pass your background check, and you have up until 30 days afterwards to pick up your firearm. We were at the point where we had to have people call us instead of come in because they would take the full 30 days to approve the background check because the system was so infiltrated.
Wow, I've never heard of NICS being that
bad. That's exactly what happened with me. It's because I bought it and then waited the 30 days, and then the store that I bought it from ended up going bankrupt because they couldn't reopen. So basically, they canceled the whole transaction, and so I had to wait, for stores to open back up before I could actually buy my first gun after that.
So, Bobby, what were you saying? Because Bobby's actually in the process of getting his FFL right now and opening his first gun shop. So he might have some expert knowledge on this.
Oh, I was just saying how California doesn't use NICS; it uses drugs.
Oh, do they have their own?
So California has.
Oh yeah,
California has.
Okay, yeah, because
I believe most of the time it's instant, but sometimes it could take a while.
Because
I guess it depends.
Where I am, we use NICS, but we also have a provision that if NICS takes longer than 7 days, you just get it. So that's a little bit of incentive for them to keep the system running so that you can't just waltz past it, which is really nice. So yeah, I actually listened to those arguments live. FPC, those guys are fire, by the way. But they did their lawyer was doing the arguments, and I gotta say, the government's lawyers just really don't know anything about guns, and they seemed kind of stupid. Not surprising, just par for the course. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, I think at one point they compared gun stores to bicycle stores, and they were arguing that bicycle stores were more essential than gun shops, based on the off chance that an essential worker was going to be biking to their job.
Watching the judges' faces during their arguments was great. It was one of the judges just asked, "Are you calling me stupid?" in about as many words. It was wonderful. So I think we're in good shape on that one, and I think that gun stores are going to be considered essential when the Omega wave comes out. One big one that this data has been circulating for a while, but NPR finally got on board and ordered it and wrote it down essentially. So the feds say that there were 235 school shootings in 2019. This is a statistic that's been circulated for a long time. Nobody really questions it. So NPR investigated these numbers, called every single school that was listed as having a shooting, and more than 2/3 of those never actually happened. And our remaining 2/3 were somebody shot a firearm near school grounds, causing an alarm, or somebody brought a firearm to the school, it got reported, but nothing happened, which, I mean, I live in a rural area. That's perfectly normal. I know kids who still bring their shotguns to school daily, and that's completely normal during deer season. Nobody cares. So yeah, it turns out that that argument that Europeans always like to use or online is not really true, because we don't have a school shooting every day somehow.
Yeah, well, it was interesting to have it coming from NPR of all places. You would have thought that maybe they wouldn't report on that, but kudos to them to actually, cite the realistic statistics on that.
Yeah,
and I'm saying this as an NPR fan, by the way. All things considered, that's my jam.
I mean, I heard that a while ago, that it was most of them that were reported were even if they found a bullet on campus, they would report that. So I think that was insane, because I mean, half the things that I do when I was in high school was at a shooting range. I always had bullets in the car, and they just fell out of my pocket. It's not a big deal, but it's the fact I could have been potentially punished for that because I went to the shooting range before school, or what if they swabbed my hands like TSA? Would that have been reported as a school shooting because I had gunshot residue on my hands from 3 hours ago? I mean, I just think, at what point do they, what are they trying to achieve by this? Because it's not causing more school shootings, it's not causing less school shootings, and it just looks bad. It's not creating, under my understanding, it's not creating any new gun laws to keep guns out of cars, or out of bullets out of cars, or stop people from taking shotguns in their cars during deer season. I just think that the only people who clue into this are the people who are uneducated, and they're really just catering to people who are uneducated and don't want to be educated because they just want to listen to statistics that are not completely factual.
Yeah, well, don't worry about getting your hands swabbed. Right after our July 29th event, I'd shot maybe 1,000 rounds that day. I reeked of gunpowder smoke, drove right to the airport, hopped on a plane. They didn't blink. So, yeah,
really?
No, I was fine. No, I had powder burns on my hands. They just didn't look twice.
Yeah, my dad flew. took a shower, took everything out of his gun, took all the ammunition out of the gun, put the ammunition away, packed the gun up, put it in the case, went to the airport, checked the firearm, went through TSA, and then got swabbed because he didn't wash his hands after he took the shower. And then he got put in the room, and the dog had to sniff him and whole 9 yards.
Wow.
So
I guess
luck of the draw.
Not like a small airport too. So maybe it was because it was a small
they
airport.
might be over enthusiastic. I mean, I might just be too blonde. I don't know.
Yeah.
San Jose.
I've flown multiple times with a round in my bag. Like my daily backpack is also my range bag. Yeah. And they stopped me when I was going to see my mother-in-law or something. I had a round of 308 and 5.56 in my bag. And they're like, you can't bring this, right?
Yeah. I mean, I do have to ask, Raf, blonde hair, blue eyes, were the dogs German Shepherds?
I don't have blue eyes, and I'm Russian.
Okay. But German Shepherd, I was trying to go somewhere with
my
that.
My dog is French, so I don't know what you're trying to say here.
I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I'm trying to say the TSA is racist with German dogs. That's what I'm trying to say.
I really am not in a position to comment on that. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, fine.
The only thing I've got going for me is that Hitler didn't like my relatives, so he killed them.
But
moving on then.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not sure how to segue into this one, but there was a police shooting right by my house, so that was fun. Because to my knowledge, that hasn't happened in 20 years or so in this area, whereas I know, Raph, you, and it's a daily occurrence for you in upstate New York and also Eugene. But yeah, pretty intense to see a bullet hole in the 99 Ranch by my house.
Really?
It was basically some guy stole a car, and then the police approached him, and he just started blasting like Danny DeVito in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
So wait, Scott, you're telling me you've never driven past a sign that has a bullet hole in it?
No.
What?
I live a sheltered life. I mean, other than the countryside where it's stop signs. But,
I mean, no. Anytime you drive outside of a city here, there's a bullet hole in most road signs. That's just how it is. I'm sorry. Yeah. Now down in West Virginia, where I've got family, I mean, there aren't signs. They're just shotgun targets.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know, but that was interesting. So Milpitas, California, of all places, suburb of San Jose.
All I can say is welcome to the real world.
Exactly. Oh man.
Well, speaking of bullet holes in signs, Pennsylvania's being cool. Actually, no, that works because Pennsylvania has a lot of those. Basically,
it worked better than my German security dog thing. So just roll with it.
This one's actually just really simple. So pretty much, normally to bring suit against a law, you have to have been affected by that law. So generally, if you want to fight a gun law, you have to get convicted of the crime first, which kind of sucks. So you don't really want to do that. But now in Pennsylvania, if there's a local law that affects you or that could affect you, you can fight it without having charged first. So, for example, if they wanted to ban standard capacity mags, or they did, and you had some, but you didn't want to, go to jail before you sue, you can just sue. Which is pretty cool.
I definitely think that should be effective everywhere.
Yeah. Honestly, there's two things I want, and that's reciprocity in every state, so you can get your CCW anywhere and use it anywhere, and a ban on bans. That's all.
Ban all the bans.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess the only other upside of that story is it came from the Reload, and so shameless plug for the Reload.com. They've got a lot of great content, and it's a go-to resource. They also had an article this week about the NRA's finances and kind of an interesting dust-up with Terry McAuliffe, who I hadn't heard from in a long time, but mayor of Virginia in a tight race. And they surfaced a video of him basically miscategorizing and dumping on gun shows. So the quote was basically gun shows are the worst thing we have. Has anyone ever been to a gun show? They're unbelievable. I'm talking about thousands of people, hundreds of tables, and hundreds as far as the eye can see, where you can buy any gun without a background check. So, yeah, that's not what gun shows are about, Terry McAuliffe.
I've been to a gun show in Virginia,
But-
and there were like 10 tables total. How about you, Malcolm?
Yeah. I was gonna go to one last month, but couldn't make it. But it's supposed to be pretty big here. And then like as a Virginia resident right
Mhm.
now,
Yep.
it sounds like, because this video was from 2019, so it probably sounded like he was really trying to like secure the bag and put himself in a good position to get that huge amount of funding from Bloomberg's org, Everytown. So if y'all didn't know, they gave him.
So that was just like, more money, please.
$500,000 for his campaign already. So, yeah, it really is. It's like, yeah, I think in the past when he was governor the first time, he was a little bit more center, but now he's gone off the rails. I've read his like summary of his plan to fight, the gun epidemic, the gun violence epidemic is, and he's basically at the I can't even say it's like to the extreme to the left anymore, because this is now like widely adopted by a lot of very left politicians. He wants to ban all assault style rifles or weapons, put limits on magazines. He wants to classify it as a health crisis. He wants to create an office in Virginia.
I have an idea. How about
do more research?
You do the research
gun
first?
Violence. And
also,
it's a lot.
I mean, Virginia's already kind of made it clear they aren't going to stand up for that. Remember that big rally in Virginia a few years back?
Yeah.
That like everybody marching. You remember that guy with the Barrett who was just running around? Yeah. Well, that guy is my local range owner. So, yeah, this guy. So my local range owner, he's a big dude, and he just shoulder carried a Barrett all day at that rally. It was a beautiful sight to see. But you've got New York standing with you then.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. It's
whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like he wants to ban ghost guns as well. The whole 9 yards. So, like a lot of, and I've spoken to quite a bit of gun owners here, and that are they're Democrat. They've been Democrat for a long time, especially in Northern Virginia, which is a heavy Democrat majority. And a lot of them are like, I can't vote for this guy anymore. It's too bad. Like I'm voting Republican for the first time. So it's very interesting to see how polarizing this race is.
I'm sorry, Californians. Our quaint East Coast politics must seem so
it sets kind of
benign to you.
For the rest of the country.
But we care, okay? We care. Yeah.
We tried with the recall. Unfortunately, no. But
we kicked ours out, but we got a worse one. She's not good. All right. We're running.
She's kind of weird though. Like, didn't she used to have a really good NRA rating? Like before she became lieutenant governor.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about her anymore. She spent the last few weeks being dumb. Yeah, but we're running low on time here, so let's run through the rest of the news. A Virginia gun rights group basically slapped back at a power company that was trying to make a political statement and keeping some of their people from voting for a pro-gun candidate. So that's the same race that we're talking about right here. It's Glenn Youngkin, who is opposing McAuliffe.
And see what we did there? We gave you 2 Virginia stories this week, Malcolm, because we haven't seen you in such a while, so it's all you.
So I'm going to save the New York story for the end, because, it's continuing. So Ohio, which has become something of a pretty cool state lately, as opposed to, boring, which it is. So they are introducing legislation to ban cops from grabbing guns from riots, which is it's nice, because getting your gun back from the cops is a whole hassle. They don't like to give them back. And it's pretty much the end of it. So they're trying to keep that from happening, which is, it's not necessarily, gun control, but it's keeping things nice and tidy, which I like. One more FPC or this is GOA, I believe, but a court case that I watched as well. So the full Sixth Circuit Court, en banc, so the entire panel of judges is taking up the legality of bump stocks, which means we might get our fun little rat-a-tat-tats back. So Trump banned them by an executive order to the ATF. The legality is somewhat iffy on this one. And from the case or from what I listened to of the case, the government's lawyer really doesn't understand what a bump stock does, how it operates, what the difference between a bump stock and a full auto sear are, and that you can bump fire a weapon without a stock specifically made for it. So real competence on display. This is what your taxpayer dollars are paying for. Great job, everybody. Finally, 2 weeks left until FPC starts arguing our case in front of the Supreme Court. So New York is a May issue state, which really sucks, as I'm sure you Californians know, except New York's worse.
Yeah.
We also have pistol
permits
except
to own. Santa Clara County.
Yeah. Well, we have permits to own pistols as well, and then every pistol has to be registered. So it's pretty sucky. But that may issue part is being argued in front of the Supreme Court on November 3rd. So please donate to FPC. I'm sick of this. All right, that's all for the news.
Exactly. All for the news.
Yeah. I do want to add on to that Dominion Energy story. They have now recanted or put out a statement saying that they did not do enough research when they were donating that money to that PAC.
So I'm sorry that we had to bore you people from Sunnyland with our
the damage is done.
Snow news, but we just have weather. That's the way it is.
I mean, I am excited about the Ninth Circuit, appearing on November. Well, Supreme Court. Sorry, not Ninth Circuit. On the November 3rd, I guess, because that'll help out Santa Clara County a lot. Hopefully. Well, I mean, down where you are, Adelina, I assume it's relatively easy to get a CCW compared to up here, where we basically have to get a pallet of iPads and bribe our sheriff or donate to a political campaign if we want to get a CCW. Is it easy down where you are?
So the county that I'm in is actually the easiest county in California to get a CCW. But what's problematic is that a lot of people live in Orange County, but they live on the neighboring counties. So they actually live in LA County, but do most of their life in Orange County, which makes it hard for them because they can't get a firearm you can't carry it, but they live most of their life in Orange County. So that kind of sucks. Definitely easiest in Orange County from what I've heard, but I know that they will slowly start to get harder and harder.
Yeah, well, I'm sure up in middle of nowhere in NorCal, I'm sure it gets pretty easy too.
Oh yeah, it's we have a map up on our website, and it's bright green for go in Shasta County and the area up by Yosemite and all of that. It's pretty easy because they're just okay, there are bears up here, go for it. But yeah, not so much in the major populated areas like San Francisco. It's basically impossible. And then, I mentioned, Santa Clara County. Well, yeah, exactly. Or Apple's chief of security, and to have the connections to make that happen.
Maybe we should call it Operation iPads and Fury. No, that's dumb. I'm gonna stop with the puns now.
It's okay. Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, that's basically all we have for the show today. So, yeah, thank you, Adelina, for joining us here. Hope it was a fun discussion. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, welcome back anytime. And, any final thoughts for the audience? I think they mentioned where to find you, but if you want to plug anything else, go ahead.
Absolutely. Go follow my Instagram. Go follow my YouTube. Again, it's Adelina May, Adelina _Mae on Instagram. I have everything linked there. You can find everything there, and do your research if you're going to take a stand. Make sure that you're properly trained, and you guys are the rest.
Awesome. All right. Well, yeah, thanks everyone for, the October 21st edition of the AAPI GoCast. Be sure to leave us a glowing 5-star review on iTunes / Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. And subscribe and like our YouTube channel. Really appreciate you taking the time. And it's been the AAPI GoCast, and we are Ghost. See you next time.